Hey, how you guys doing? I am back to give you guys some good gems, that you guys can use in your life to get you wherever you want to go to with it. All right? So, I'm going to start off by letting you guys know that I had the privilege to meet one of the sons of one of my favorite authors. And this happened about 4 years ago or 3 years ago. I can't remember. But I am not going to tell you the name of the book because he's still alive. You know, the acquaintances that I had to meet him are still alive, and I just don't want to get into that situation, and I want to respect everybody's privacy. So what happened was, when I was 18 to 19, I was released from my first job. I was laid off, or I don't know what you call it, because my priest, which was also my boss, was actually retiring, and he knew that the new priest that was taking over was going to fire everybody. So he let me go, and when he let me go, he actually gave me this book. And this book is a book that I recommended to a bunch of people, over hundreds, if you just count how many people on my Instagram and Facebook. And I'm 29 now, and it's been 10 years that I've been recommending this book. So I somehow, some way, was able to meet his son because this girl that I was really close with, really tight, I consider her one of my best friends, ended up meeting his son at a wedding where they then started to have, an intimate relationship. So, the day that she met him and was telling me about this guy that she met, she was like, yeah, I met a guy he's in his 40s. He's really wealthy, thanks to his dad. His dad was this super influential self-help guru, wrote many books and changed a lot of lives. And he's pretty much a trust fund baby and just lives off of the royalties from all his work. And when I found out who it was, I got really excited. I just wanted to know everything about this guy because, this guy's the son of this author that I really admire, and I love the way that he just put the concepts of, everything and understanding and, psychology of humans, and he really made me understand myself to a degree when that priest gave me the book, because I was now going on to a new journey in my life where I was going to be getting a new job and also going to school. So the book pretty much, let me know that, there's 4 different basic types of personalities that we live amongst in this whole entire earth. So everybody falls into this, 4 types of 4 personalities, and each one of us can actually benefit from knowing where is our shortfalls and also where is our gains from being that type. So, I received that book. I thought it was super helpful. It's super short, super sweet. Everybody that's read it loved it. Even inspired me to just want to create short books. And I actually just created one. So we'll see how that goes. But long story short, I really just got to know this guy through her. And man, did I learn a lot. I actually learned something that I did not expect. And it was actually that the brothers, and I'm not sure if there was a sister, but every sibling that this author that I admire had suffered from depression. And one of the siblings committed suicide because of it. And, you know, my friend, she was dating this guy, and even though he was super wealthy, she could not stand his energy and how negative and depressive he was. Even though he had it all, he seemed like, he didn't have to work a day in his life. And that showed me a lot of, why you shouldn't, want to be somebody else or trade your life for somebody else. Even if you were that amazing author, or even if you were that kid with all the wealth, that's a trust fund baby that doesn't have to work a day in his life, that money did not bring an actual I would say it was more harmful than good. you know he did help a lot of people. He helped me, but at what cause? And that cause seemed to just be a deterioration of his generation. I mean, they had no kids, and till this day they're just living a life that most people wouldn't want, to be honest, despite the money. But the that really opened my eyes. I have never imagined that this was the effect of becoming one of the most successful people in this world. You hear it all the time, about kids never feeling like they will outdo their parents, never feeling like they can fit in their shoes. Nobody believes that they would ever do it on their own. They can never become a self-made millionaire, and even if they do, nobody will believe it. And I guess that does lead to some kind of psychological effects. I got to see it for myself. I even got to meet him as well, and that's why it makes me think, like, you don't know what these people have been through to get to where they had to be, and you don't know what are the consequences that it took to get there. So for me, I have a lot of role models that I admire, but there's certain parts in their life that I would never want to go through in order to become who they were, no matter what. Never in this life. Some of the most influential people I've ever met and that are doing so well have been one of the biggest criminals and have done some of the most heinous acts years ago, and they did their time, and I would never want to go through that. Or if they lost a family member or some traumatic experience. And when I think about people that say, oh, I just I would love to be that person, I'll trade my life to be you, you're all I ever wanted to be, I just don't see how you can say that, because in order to be that person, you'd have to do everything that they went through, and then you'd also have to lose everything you have. I would never give up my family and friends and my experiences for just to completely be somebody else. Maybe I'd want to experience some of the things that they've done, like my favorite NBA player, Steph Curry. Like, I would love to know what it feels like to be able to shoot 50% from 3-point line at an NBA game and win a championship. I mean, that must be an amazing feeling, but I wouldn't want to do everything that he's done. I wouldn't want to have his wife and his kids and his life. I just wouldn't. But I feel like there's a lot of people that would be like, hell yeah, in a second. But I really would consider just viewing everything around you and actually weighing what everything means to you and seeing if you really want to flip that. Because I bet 10 out of 10 times you're going to say, no, I wouldn't. So that brings me to a story that it's called the Chinese farmer, the story of the Chinese farmer. So there was once this Chinese farmer, and this Chinese farmer had a son. And at his farm, one day came about 7 wild horses running through, and they stayed at his farm. And here comes the neighbors saying, wow, what a lucky, man you are. Like, you just have now 7 horses in your farm. Like, how fortunate are you? And that Chinese farmer says, maybe. So the next day, the son, he's trying to train the wild horses, and while while being on top of them, trying to train them, he actually falls off the horse and he breaks his leg. And that night, the neighbors, they come by and they say, wow, look what happened. How unfortunate that these horses came and that your son's leg was broken. And then the Chinese farmer said, maybe. So the next day, the military of that country came in and said, we are drafting people for the war that we are losing, and we have to draft anybody that's over 18, which your son is. So the military men come inside the house and they open the door to the son's room, and they see the son with a casket on his leg. And they look at the Chinese farmer and they tell him, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to take your son. I guess, that's a blessing for you. And here comes the neighbors immediately saying, oh my God, you are so fortunate. Look, your son, he didn't have to go get drafted and, be risking to kill himself. And the Chinese farmer said, maybe. And, what that story is to let you know is that you never know the fortune of your misfortunes or the misfortunes of your fortune. It can never be calculated. You don't know if this event in your life that you're going through is actually going to be something super positive in the future, or vice versa, something super negative. Well, in reality, you can't tell if it's negative or positive. So it's better to just accept it the way it is and know that there is something that might be a better reason that this didn't happen. And I feel like that lets you live a life not really caring too much about the outcome, not getting too high about, rewards and too low on losses. It keeps you even cleaving because you actually don't know the fortunes of your misfortunes and the misfortunes of your fortunes. And this is all tied into exactly how I felt when I got to meet the son of my favorite author. And that was a little story I wanted to share with you guys. I hope that gives you some type of epiphany that makes you wonder about some of the things that happened in your life that turned out to actually be fortunate when you thought at first was misfortunate. So any questions, comments, please feel free to let me know. Subscribe, like. Thank you guys for listening. Bye-bye.